Illuma duties.
I can't say
And
nothing.
here we go. Says, you got it. You got it.
We're live.
We're live.
Good day.
Enough popped out. Let's get the screen over here. There we go. There we go. Let's get this popped out because we got to talk. We got to have the chat. What is up, everybody? Am I the first one? What's up? What's up? Welcome, everybody, again to another live stream where we sit and talk trucks. Specifically tonight, we're going to talk about the 22s. There's been some stuff going on. Eric B. Anderson, what's going on? I have two characters right here that love the Super Duty and am going to talk about the deal that they have going on and see if any of you guys out there are experiencing anything with your 22 or had to take it back to the dealer. I want to know about it. I want to see what's out there. We're only seeing a small percentage of trucks into my store at the most, regardless, because we have way more dealers out in the nation. So kind of want to spread the word and see what's up. Alex, Vito, appreciate you guys for stopping in. CP, what is up? Everybody in the comments, Zeekster, Skidoo, Slimp, everybody, what's up? So right now we have kind of an issue going on with an F-350 DRW. And this gentleman took delivery of the unit and currently has about, what would you say, 1,300 miles?
I want to say it was like 1322 when I dropped off.
And there are some expectations when Noah, what up, Big A-Rod? I see you trying to hide that bump. No. They right there. I didn't know if Austin told you, PepsiCo, they don't want nothing to do with us, but we're still going to keep drinking them. We have some expectations when you purchase a truck of this caliber, and sometimes people have to finance the trucks, and sometimes people are putting down cold hard cash, and you want something for that cold hard cash. And sometimes we forget that we're human and mistakes are made, but there's some things that sometimes should be caught at end of line or whatever. But with this stuff going on in the universe right now, I don't know what to say. As an owner, I wouldn't know what to think. As a person listening to my man's story, I can sympathize. And I think for sake of argument, I'm going to give it to Anthony, and he's going to tell you straight from the horse's mouth exactly what's going on with this truck. Now, this has been also brought to my attention by some other viewers in some forums, which I'm not a part of, where other like people are complaining of a mirror image problem, such as what you guys are going to hear tonight. So open up your ears. This may be something you want to check if you have a 22. Vito.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. Traded in my
we got to paint the picture.
Yeah, so I traded in my special order 2019. I had it for about 18 months, put 26,000 miles on it. Problem-free truck, never back to the dealer. And I ordered the 22 dually in March and got it 6 months. So it was like 6.5 months to get it. Told the dealer, don't touch it. I got it. It was all still, wrapped up nice. They did their PDI, they said, and then test drove it like 20 miles. Everything was good. Signed the paperwork. drove it home, and then like I swear it was the next day or the day after. New truck. I got the radio off. 5-3, 4-3 downshifts. These like grinding sounds like a heavy file cabinet on a concrete driveway. It's like all I can do, how I can describe it. So call you, of course. We're talking. I'm like, maybe it's a learning thing, something with the clutches. I think Alex posted something on Facebook in a group. Some guy said, oh yeah, that's normal till the clutches break in. I'm like, I've never heard of that before.
Mm-hmm.
So 1,300 miles, I did the 1,000-mile break in. I'm like, I got to bring this thing somewhere. So drove to my dealer that I bought it from, took them for a ride. That's normal. Go to another dealer. That's normal. You send me to Rich. I didn't even say anything. He's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, exactly. So Alex gets his 22, 2 weeks after mine?
Yeah,
Awesome.
there was about 2 weeks after you. And, first of all, we wait for these trucks. You order a truck, you're paying 70, 80, maybe 90,000 for your truck. It's not chump change, and unfortunately, my truck gave me a bad taste in the mouth when it comes in with a scratch on it. The doors are misaligned. There's stuff in the paint. There's dents in the bed. These are all things that, stuff in the paint that had to go through Ford, and they missed that. I mean, things happen. I get it. No one's perfect, but, just like Vito, I don't want anybody touching my stuff when it comes in. I want to take all the plastics off. I want to do all that because I'm very anal. And me and Vito were talking. We've known each other since we were little kids. And he goes, dude, I got this noise, coming from the rear of my truck. And I'm like, yeah, I know, Vito, you always hear stuff, but, okay. And, he's like, oh, dude, this is
Vito, just typical Vito stuff,
Always
big deal.
complaining.
He's like, it's loud, and I never have the radio off in my truck. I'm always rocking out doing something. So,
hell yeah.
I heard it once, like pulling into my office, it downshifts, and it's like, like that. You're like, okay, well, maybe it was something else, whatever. And then this past week, actually last night, with the wife, we're dropping off one of the plows I was servicing for my company. I was dropping off at storage. And I go, what was that noise? She goes, you hear that? She goes, oh yeah, I heard
That's
that.
That's it. You're screwed now.
Yeah. Yeah. And if my wife knows that I'm very anal, she's like, well, I heard that. And of course, here I am. I go, Vito.
Like if my wife heard it, I'm
yeah.
Oh Christ.
Yeah.
What I told you, I go, put it manual mode, just coast it down. I'm like, it sounds terrible.
Manual in what specific? What were you doing?
From fourth to third. And let it coast.
Well, I actually put mine in manual mode, shifted to third gear, and just let off the accelerator and let it come to a stop. And right before like the converter unlocks, it's very loud and very drawn out.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Made that happen today. And I reached out to Rich, called Rich. I'm like, hey bro, I'm like, I don't let dealers touch my stuff because I'm very, I don't know.
Particular.
Yeah, particular. That's all it is, right? So, me and Aaron over here, and
you get one pass. You get one pass.
I had to take it. So my truck's what's up?
I say, why do you think I drove 5.5 hours the first time to meet him? Because I didn't let anybody out here touch my truck.
So mine's going on Monday up to Rich's place, and we're gonna see what he finds, and I imagine we're gonna be around the same line of what's going on with Vito's truck. I mean, and I guess we're gonna go from there.
Yeah, I mean, me, I'm like, I just lurk on forums. I take what those guys say with a grain of salt. But when I started hearing this, I started doing some research, and I'm like, wow, this guy's got the same problem. This guy's got the same problem. This guy's got the same problem. 6.2s, 7.3s, single wheels, dualies, 10.5s, M275s, and M300s. I'm like, that's way too broad of a spectrum for this to just be, what I'm saying? Like, what's going on here?
Isolated instance.
I could see if it was like dualies only,
Now, if you guys are new to the channel or are joining the live stream, we had Ford Boss Me. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. Make sure to stop by his channel, and he has actually a couple of videos up documenting the issue Anthony's having with his truck. And he actually drained out the fluid, and we were talking about it last live stream actually, and you could see when he drained it in his collection container, that glass container, it was just pure glitter, and then you could see the oil changing color and started to get clearer again. Not something you want to see, something you want to see because now you're finding your problem, but not for in an owner's standpoint. I can sympathize. I mean, if my M275 was having an issue, I mean, as a technician, I'm going to want to fix it, and plus this is my truck, so I'm going to want to fix it, especially having an axle problem, because this is going to be, you know, propelling you down the road, and the noise. What were you describing it when you and Rich were driving it and he was in the bed? Weren't you saying it was sounding like something from the right rear, like by the leaf spring?
Yeah, it was funny because as soon as we pulled out on the main road, he's like, I heard it. So we went in the back parking lot, and he's like, I'm gonna get in the bed. So he's laying in the bed with his ear down. We're driving around. He said it's like passenger rear corner is where he hears it most. And then he made that video with the chassis ears, and it's like right by the right rear leaf spring. Like that's where I hear it. Like when I was in the bed, I would drive with my slider open, you know, and then close my slider, put down one of the rear windows, trying to isolate where it's coming from. It's definitely like rear seat, rear end area that I'm hearing it. I thought it was the exhaust or something.
Were you getting vibration in your brake pedal too when that was going on, or no?
No, it'll do it off the brake.
Okay.
I don't even have to touch the brakes.
Yeah, and I don't know if that correlates with the same issue that we're having, but I started to notice that in the last like couple of weeks, where I'm kind of getting that vibration, almost like, you know, the brakes,
like a warped rotor or something.
Yeah, but it almost like seemed like it correlated with the sound. But I mean, I think now that I heard it for sure. I heard it before when I first got the truck, but it wasn't as prominent, and now it's becoming more prominent. I'm like, so now every time I'm in the truck, I got the radio off, and I'm just listening.
To me, it's just ruined my experience, man. It's just.
Actually, I want to welcome Ford Boss Me in right now. Just accepted his waiting room acceptance and have permitted him in. So he is, wow, straight from the shop.
Still at work.
That cannot be any better. That's perfect scene, brother. I love it.
And it's dedication.
And there's Anthony's truck, and it just fell off the back of the hoist. Oh, sorry.
Hey, that's probably the best thing that can happen to that thing.
JK.
Well, we got another one coming in now.
Oh, buddy. Sorry to have overloaded you on booty work.
Oh,
Super duty graveyard.
it's not just it's the whole channel, man. The channel is just exploding right now, and people with all these questions and brand new vehicles. I'm like, man, I gotta slow down, dude. I can't do this and then do all the stuff in the channel and answer everybody's questions. And I just, like, I had to put out today that I'm gonna have to start pulling back on the reins. Some guys, if you want to email me or something and you really, really need my help, I'll be there for you. But we have so many brand new vehicles coming in with like little odd and just faults and little issues and stuff like that we're having to dig into, that unfortunately is taking a lot of time. And when you have that kind of commitment to your job, and the YouTube channel is supplemental or secondary, and it's not, you know, anything more than that at the time, let's just say, you know, it's plagued me right now with brand new vehicles. I had 9 modules to update today on a Lincoln Aviator. And the other day, Ford sent a bulletin to a company and said, take this to Ford. Here's your receipt for us telling you, go to the dealer and tell them to update every single module inside this vehicle per our instructions, and you get 1.5 to do it. The TCU had 53,000 packets of information that had to be updated. It took 2 hours and 45 minutes to update the TCU by itself. How is Ford saying I'm only going to pay an hour and a half for multiple modules online, And that's all that they have allotted to pay for something like that. I said, guys, there's got to be a way we can claim M time on that. Nope. This is a already authorized thing by Ford. And they're telling these companies that already have these vehicles as like manufacturer vehicles that aren't even on the road yet to just bring them to you guys. And then this is what you're getting paid. Well, I'm sorry, bud, but 2 hours and 45 minutes doesn't look like an hour and a half to me with multiple modules. So there's just so much stuff going on right now that some of us don't even know how to figure out and play with yet. So I've had to kind of pull back on responding and helping people out as much just because the shop is so crazy right now.
Oh man, I feel you. I feel you. Just with just workload, the amount of volume. I mean, we always want to have work. It's how we make our living. But it's just it's kind of crazy to see. Just we're telling people, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks out, and people are, hey, okay, no problem. And
Yeah.
I mean, being patient and waiting. But like Rich is saying, sometimes you get these new vehicles that you're learning on them because it's like it's not like we go to school for every vehicle coming out. Like we didn't go to school for the new Escape that came out, or we didn't go to school to learn about this Aviator that came out. This vehicle comes in, we know our base, our foundation, and we start our diagnostics.
Hey, you're supposed to be doing your new model training, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know what?
I tell you what you can do with that new model training. Whenever the dealer looks at us and sets us enough time aside and says, hey guys, we have all this time for you to go sit in this room and sit here and do all this new model training while we got vehicles stacking up outside, but you can go do all your new model training. Go ahead. They're going to be like, no, you need to get in there on this vehicle because this customer is livid. It's been here for a week. There ain't no new model training. You're learning while you're on the job.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good point. It's on the job training is what it comes down to, and you try to adapt accordingly and basically give it your all, just like we're doing, trying to figure out Vito's back end.
Yeah,
and
Vito's really nice back end.
Nice looking.
I miss her.
Hey, I've been in that back
You got
end.
another one coming in now.
Hey, I've been in that back end more than he's been in that back end.
Rich, you've had that
he
truck
owns
longer
it.
than I owned it. Yeah.
And he owns it.
I have a bougie girl coming in on Monday, so you better.
But
Yeah.
yours, Alex, is a single rear wheel, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So we got a dually and a single rear wheel. One's got the M300 and one's got the M275.
Are we live on YouTube right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yes, sir.
Don't want to say anything inappropriate for the algorithm.
Yes, sir.
It's all about that algorithm, baby.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir. So what do we got going on in your neck of the woods right now? What do we got behind you? What are you just cleaning up, putting your tools away?
Dude, I just cranked out this Explorer 3.5 front cover leak. They took it to an independent shop.
Okay.
They took it to an independent shop and they got into it, and the guy was like, I'm having trouble figuring out how to get the couple 15mm bolts in the front cover. Well, you got to pitch the engine down a certain way and drop one out of the bottom and then pitch the other one down the other way, pull it out of the top. Well, they were having a hard time figuring it out, and they just asked the lady, look, can we just put the little bit that we have apart back together and you send it to the dealer and let them do it? Well, I mean, when it got here, I'm like, this is a 17 with 27,000 miles on it. It's covered under powertrain warranty anyway.
Right.
Why would she not come back to the dealer to begin with? You just were going to pay somebody 10 hours to do it. It's like an 8.9 hour job, but by the time you diagnose it and add dye and all this other stuff, it's like 10 and a half hours. And this goes back to what we talked about before. Yes, I can do this job, humping it in 6.8 hours like Ford says. But I am literally humping it. Mistakes can be made. Shortcuts are not the best thing whenever you're dealing with something under warranty that has to be done a specific way, and things all got to get turned back in.
Or silicone.
Or the silicone has to sit so long before it'll dry. I normally let it sit a few hours, 3 or 4 hours or something like that, in order for it to set up real good. Really, they want it to sit overnight, but I've never had a leak come back after letting it sit 3 or 4 hours and at least letting it sit up I'll let it run a little bit, get warm, let all the oil drain back down in the pan, let it sit overnight, and I come in the morning just from that little bit of warmth and then shut down. Come back in the morning and it's like the silicone's rock hard. It's ready to
Oh,
roll.
yeah.
So
That's good stuff. That's good
Well,
stuff.
you know, it's that, and then the aviator this morning, and then other modules not coming online. I had an F-150 come in this morning that was like a 17 or an 18, and they kept throwing a wrench light, but it would not throw a code. It would throw a wrench light, but it wouldn't give me a code to go off of it. And I'm like, what is going on with this thing? And I had to keep resetting the module over and over and over again for an hour and clearing it before finally the wrench light popped on and said something about the TCU not communicating with the rest of the stuff that was online. It was one of the higher end F-150s.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in and I programmed the TCU just to kind of bring it back online because it wasn't giving me any hard codes to go off of. And then all of a sudden, after 45 minutes of this thing freaking programming, the TCUs take so long to program in these things.
It's ridiculous, man. I don't know what the deal is.
And you don't get paid that. You'll get paid 4/10 or something like that, or 3/10 to do it. And it took 45 minutes to do it. So
no BS, it literally takes that long, and your truck better be hooked up to a battery charger because if it goes dead, then you're
the aviator that I had to do. I had to have it on a charger because there were so many modules out of date, and it was taking so long. I had to put it on like a AGM setting, and then it was like a 20 amp or a 40 amp charge just to keep it at about 13 volts while I was doing all this stuff. 13 and a half volts. It's a nightmare. But that TCU was what was causing the problems. It was out of date. It wasn't able to communicate with the other modules, and that simple reprogram brought it all back online and cleared the customer's truck up. And I was like, the stuff that we have to go through with programming and electronics and modules and stuff like that alone will drive you batshit crazy doing this. And sometimes you figure out how to do things that the manufacturer still doesn't even know how to do. Like I've found provisions inside protocols and PID data on how to diagnose things and look at things different. It's not even in PTS. They don't even have a provision for finding out the way that I do it, just because of how much we end up stressing ourselves doing it.
That's a good, no, that's a good point, because it's something that like literally I have to deal with every day. Or you have to deal with every day. If there's something you got to do, and there's not, just like Rich said, a provision or something in the workshop manual or PCD or the EVTM, it's like, this isn't making sense. We have to come up with our own stuff. There's no magic computer that we're hooking up and it tells us what to fix. That's not how it works. It's us. It's up to us.
So Anthony's truck got pushed over to the FSE, and then now they're looking for a whole entire rear assembly. And the cop car that I had in here that was misfiring on cold start, I put all new injectors, port and direct injectors, and all new plugs in it, and that cleared it up for the last few months of misfiring on cold start. I go out there last week, and I go to pull it in because the trans came in for it. It also needs a transmission. It's misfiring on cold start again, PO303 and PO306. So cylinder 6 and cylinder 3 are misfiring with a random misfire code. I re-update hotline again, and I get a response back from the guy, and he says, "Oh, you didn't put the trans in it yet?" Bro, I just literally emailed you and said it's misfiring on cold start again. Can we address that before we talk about putting a trans in it? Because you may say, look, maybe you do need a motor. Maybe this did fit in the category of there's a certain amount of Explorers that they had out that needed cylinder heads because of valve seals being installed incorrectly from the factory or not seating correctly or something like that. Did you just miss that whole point of me saying, hey, it's doing it all over again? You want me to put a transmission in a vehicle that's already misfiring? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And then I look back at the messages again, and the follow-up is, you know what? This is now getting escalated to an FSE. So now I have an FSE on Anthony's truck. I have an FSE on the cop car, and now we got another one coming in. Probably going to have an FSE on that too.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
He's going to love your dealer.
He's already been out here a few times for brand new vehicle issues, and you know, he's a nice guy for sure, and he seems to be pretty knowledgeable, but I'd like to see somebody that's been in the field for a long time, somebody that's been dealing with this stuff for quite a while, that's seasoned, they're gritty, they know the ins and outs of a lot of the different flavors that we've had to deal with. These newer FSEs that are really young, that don't have a lot of experience. Some of them are smart, man, but I have a hard time dealing with them because by the time you get to the end of the problem or fixing it, a lot of times you're the one that ended up fixing it anyway, and it wasn't them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an issue with that. I wish Ford still had a lot of those seasoned guys that have been around. They've been in the business for a long time. They've dealt with this stuff for a long time to just come out and say, hey, come here, whippersnapper. Even though you've been doing this 20 years, come here, whippersnapper. I'm gonna learn you something. You just don't have that no more. You don't have it.
It's gone. Those days are gone.
No, they're all going to different industries where, you know, they're valued and, you know, paid and don't have to deal with all the backlash of the back and forth. It's sad.
I'm ready for somebody to teach me again, man, because I've learned from a lot of good older guys that have been in the field for a long time, and I love that grittiness and that grunt of learning from those guys and how hard they are and just serious they can be. And then, you know, I'm teaching the young guys that are around me now, and I'm trying to bring them up with the stuff that I know. Last night, I just showed Cody was on when I was showing the young guys in the shop how to diagnose a 6.2 Super Duty engine knock. It wasn't an engine knock. It's the IMRC is faulty. Yes, there's a TSB out on it, but I don't mention that TSB because that's not how I learned to deal with that thing. It was a senior seasoned diesel tech that actually took me through and showed me the ropes on how to diagnose that motor. So whenever people say, oh, you know, you got that from a TSB, you didn't get that from, you know, experience or something like that. Yeah, literally a lot of the diesel techs that have been in the field and from my experience have had to deal with both sides of the field so much that they're oftentimes the ones that are teaching a lot of the gasoline guys exactly what the hell to do and how to diagnose things because of what they have to go through. And that's who I learned from, was a senior diesel tech. And now I pass that stuff off to the younger guys. And by the time I was done showing them in that 10, 15 minutes of how to diagnose this thing, these guys' eyes were lit up like it was Christmas. Like, oh my God, I'm going to have this in my toolbox forever and be able to use this if I ever have to work on one of these things. So I'm not throwing a $8,000 engine in a customer's vehicle. It's just a $600 intake manifold.
Unfortunately, Rich, you're the teacher now. A lot of the
Yeah.
old guys are sayonara, we're done here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy behind me here, he left. He was done. 42 years in the field. He just
Wow.
retired.
Good
The guy
for him.
next to him, he's been in the field 35 years. He acts like he's been done for a while. The dude over here in the corner, the transmission guy, he's been in the field for 30 years. He wants to be gone in the next 4 or 5 years. And then we don't have nobody. It's all guys that are my age, 35 to 40 years old. And we're the ones running the show.
Wow, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's almost sad when you see, you know, people, I guess in general, because it's across all spectrums now, who don't want to learn from, or either a trade or whatever. It's really sad to see how many places now are just for hire. If all of these older generation of people who are now going to be, you know, taking advantage of Social Security and Medicare and are no longer going to be in the workforce, my work credits, I'm turning them in. Yeah, it is going to be us. It's going to be us, all of us right here, all 5 of us. We're going to be running the show. This is the next generation, and it's, I mean, it's up to us to really pass that on. And like what Rich and I are doing, you know, trying to make relatable material for people to accurately get their truck or car or whatever it is back on the road in a respectable manner or cheap by themselves at the DIY, do it yourselfer. I don't know. You can't make people want to help themselves, I guess.
Well, and a lot of times, you know, what I'm struggling with lately, and I'm trying to, I guess I could say, trying to train the guys up somewhat on my channel is when me and you, us, do the stuff that we do, we have so much time in one day. And when we're trying to dedicate our time to show somebody about you know, a filter or something on a Super Duty that's plugged up, or a specific situation where you can upgrade something to an aftermarket part that makes it more efficient than the stock part that's on it, or about you know, how to do this, something that you can do at home. And we get that. For some reason, it strikes me as the quality of people paying attention to what we actually talk about and how we show them to do things sometimes has completely fallen by the wayside. I can literally pour everything out into a video and instruct verbatim A to Z on exactly how to do this, exactly what to do, exactly how to turn your hand a specific way because it's a mother lover getting in this specific area. And this is how it kind of fits better when you reach in there and you know, it's just, I try to go into detail about things to make it easier on people. And I'll still have people come back and say, yeah, did you give that part number? Yeah, it was in the first 15 seconds of the video where I gave the part number out. And yes, I did explicitly say right in the beginning of the video, you need an 18 millimeter this, a 15 millimeter that, a 10 millimeter that. And I just get to the point where I start thinking about social media stress, because a lot of people don't realize how much stress this shit can be. And then I think about what we have to go through at work every single day. And then we try to bring the two worlds together. And we try to harmonize with each other, building a better society of technicians that are willing to do the right thing, that are willing to look out for the customer, yet put the company in their best interest and the customer in their best interest. That's a hard damn balance sometimes, when you have to look for the company and you have to look for the customer and find that happy median, plus balance out a life. I thought he was saying that to me.
Oh, no. Love you, baby.
Yeah, right, sweetie? Every morning he sends me a picture of a hot dog bun and a hot dog. I don't know what it means, but anyway, that's beside the point.
Eggplant? I don't know.
Anyway, it's a balancing act. And, you know, I see a lot of people, you know, I wish they could see what we do in a day. I wish they could stand 10 feet away. Don't get in my space, but just stand 10 feet away, 20 feet away, and just watch what we have to go through in one day. And then let me know whether or not you want to be patient and actually pay attention when we're instructing and teaching you things and showing you what's going on in the business. Because it's not for the faint of heart, man. This is not for lazy people. This is not for people that don't want to do the work. And I tell people often all the time, you better strap up and get ready for a show, because when you start doing this job, you're either in it or you're out. That's just how it works.
You find out real quick too.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think one of the biggest things my mentor helped me understand in a very, very early stage, and it helped me be more cognitive of my workload and what I was fixed on, and it was writing everything down. I have a book like this that I write down at work, and I write the date, the RO number, year in the car, something that'll jog my memory, what I did to it, how much I got paid, and then just the service advisor's number. So I can go back all the way back when I started, long time ago. And I can tell you on 9/16 of 2001 what I worked on. And that really helped me transition for when I was to go on flat rate. I was already in that grind of knowing what I was going to do. And it's, you know, I hope that when these kids come out of their trade schools, that, you know, they're going to hit the ground running and not going to be stalling out, you know, I mean, it's going to take some time to get used to, but it's something that we have to learn. It's flat. We don't have a choice. It's flat rate. You have flat rate blues. I see Fred Talion right here. Yeah. Can you do a quick weight or oil change while doing a 6/7 short block as I'm torquing heads? He says, "Go flower yourself." This is like an everyday occurrence, and it's something you just adapt to.
It is. You know, I could have had this front cover job and been home and relaxing, and I could have been with my family and stuff like that, or playing Call of Duty or whatever the hell, drinking a beer and enjoying my life. But in the middle of doing this front cover job, service writer comes out and says, "Hey, can you update all these modules on this vehicle?" "Oh yeah, sure. I'll stand here and just hit yes, no, engine off." engine back on. No, yes, clear codes. Yes, engine off. Yes, and no, I can't. But because of the business and because I want to take care of the customer, sure, yes, I'll do it. And I'll push myself off till 9 o'clock at night trying to finish up what I could have finished up this morning. Yeah, sure.
Hmm. Hey, it's a love-hate. I love it. I hate it. It's how we make money. It's our job. But it does get,
I guess that's where my service writers hated me because I told them pound sand because I'm in the middle of a torque sequence. You can wait until I'm done. Period. I'm not stopping halfway in the middle of this. You can go pound it.
Yeah, you don't. I've been interrupted in that exact sequence. I was interrupted in the middle of a 1.5 EcoBoost rebuild back when I first started, and I made the mistake of walking away, and then I came back and I was like, shit, where did I even leave off? I don't even remember where I left off. Now I have to get all new head bolts. I have to quit doing what I'm doing and start all over again. The dealer had to eat the price of the head bolts, which was the big deal. And I'm thinking to myself, this will never happen again. I will never, ever let anybody take me off of a sensitive job like that again in the middle of doing it. It's not going to happen.
this guy just said going flat rate would keep me up at night, sometimes thinking about all the work I had to do. I had to start taking sleeping pills. Totally get it, man.
Flat rate is the worst thing that I've ever done in my life. And the reason I say that is because I made a few dollars an hour less working for a fleet company doing fleet work, which went from A to E. This time you would do an A service. When the bus came back in the second time, big CTA style buses, big giant transit buses. This time you're doing a B service. Okay, it's at your 6-month service or your 1-year service. Now you're doing this service. So you already had a documented, laid out, and yes, you were pulling apart complete brake system, complete rear ends and stuff, doing complete overhauls on electric motors that run the fans and stuff for the AC system. It wasn't easy work at all, and you still learned a ton. But you knew you were getting paid from the time you clocked in until the time you were going home. You knew you already had your parts in your parts room. You knew everything you needed. Everything was on schedule, and the stress level, oh my God, it was like the freaking dream job, man. I would still be there today, but they ended up getting rid of the diesel department and going tram electric trains at O'Hare instead. And that was the best job I've ever had in my life. So I can see why these guys are going to ComEd, or they're going to utility companies, or they're going to these municipalities and stuff like that, because they are literally taken care of better than anybody else in the industry can get taken care of. I mean, it's a great job. It's a great opportunity for them.
I mean,
I can't imagine the benefits too.
My buddy just got an interview at Consumers Energy as a mechanic.
Yeah.
$50 an hour union.
Yeah, they make bank, man. These guys make some serious money.
And he only has to work 40 hours. That's a no-brainer.
Who are you just talking about, Mike? Oh man, that's a heck of a deal, man. Heck of a deal.
Well, four of my close friends work for the power company. 3 were previous dealer techs.
Wow. I love being a dealer tech.
One was a semi mechanic, and he went to the power company.
I can't imagine, what else I would do other than not working at the dealer. I know for sure I'd be working on trucks and cars and stuff, but it's just
here it is, A-Rod. This is why we do what we do and we like it.
Lay it on me.
You don't get the education anywhere else that we get here. Yes, you can go work for a ComEd company or something like that and get sent to Cummins school, but then you wait forever while there's 40 other guys ahead of you that have to go to school for the next class or schedule something in somewhere. What I see every single day volume wise, and all these different new vehicles and the stress of getting in these electronics and figuring out all these intricate new systems and stuff like that, I'm never going to see at a utility company.
Nope.
I'm never going to see anywhere else, because when those guys have a problem that is beyond their mechanical ability, no matter if they're master or $50 an hour or not, you know what they say? And it's their right and due diligence to say, send it to the dealer. And they do that. Ask Fred. Fred, last week we were talking about something and he
He's
said, oh,
commenting right here.
yeah. I mean, and I bless them for that. They've earned the right to do that. They've gained that opportunity to do that. But now I get the experience of trying to figure out what the hell that problem is that somebody else couldn't figure out. And I'm that much more knowledgeable. But at the end of the day, at the end of my life cycle, when it's almost time to lay down and retire, what did I gain from that? Maybe a little bit more knowledge, but I'm not paid any better. So what did Fred get that I didn't get? Less stress, a better life, more time with his family, better taken care of. So that knowledge that I gained, yeah, it makes me feel good. But what did I actually benefit from it? Not very much. I didn't take care of myself in the process.
Right. I mean, that's a big deal realizing that, because we do give a lot of our, look, you're at work right now. I mean, just like you
Yeah.
said, you could have been at home, you know, sipping on a brew, playing some COD, you know,
Yeah.
doing you. But, you know, you're almost kind of a, you know, slave to the job almost, because of the necessity of your values. I mean, if he didn't want to get this front cover done, he wouldn't have been here. It's like he was here at work. Just let me get it done. You know the backstory. I got to
Yeah.
get it done. And it's just everyday battle. And it's not every day's not like that. You know, there's great days, and I can remember, you know, being young, growing up in the industry, and being pissed, man, being mad just at the situation, not understanding why this job just went in warranty. The CLP program, back when the 6 liters, you know, any time a customer came in and had a cash repair and they cried and complained and that job went in warranty, and obviously we the labor rate would change, and you know, having to deal with that, it was hard to swallow. It would angered me. And growing up in the 6.0 days, I think, you know, it was kind of tough because of all the issues that they had with them, and then recalls and this and this, and it was just, and every vehicle coming in was a 6.0. I mean, Cody knows. I'm sure Rich remembers. It was a pain in the butt. But here we are now, way past that, with a
And
much
in a better situation.
in a way much better platform. I don't know. Uncle Richie.
Uncle Richie, I'm
love
gonna
it.
chime in off of what Rich said. I mean, and Alex can agree. I mean, why do you think I texted you, A-Rod? I was like, you got a guy close to me. I'm in this pickle. I have this brand new truck. I unfortunately hate the dealer, you know, because of the past experiences. So
Why?
I mean,
what happened? Why would
my
you say you hate the dealer? What happened that you are like this?
personally, for me, nothing. It's just friends and family. It's just never a good experience. I had a Cummins before this, and it was under warranty. I just fixed everything myself, just because I just don't trust them.
It's with a lot of professions nowadays. I mean, you get people that don't want to take the attention to detail, take the time to figure things out. Everybody wants a quick answer. They don't want to put in the sweat and grime. I mean, we have a different. The generations coming up have different values and what they think is important. Now, yes, work smarter, not harder. You know, everybody wants to make a lot of money doing nothing. That's a perfect world, but you know, when these dealerships around us, at least in where we're at in Illinois, you know, if a car goes in for a perfect example, I was at a dealership where my truck, and I was going in there because my 22 had to get all this work done after it came in new because of door line and stuff and paint, scratch, all that. And the first car, they were replacing a door latch, and I was like, man, thinking to myself, you could have just done that yourself. But you know, this is an older guy who wanted the dealer to do it, and rightfully so. So he was an old Italian guy. The car comes out and he's looking at it. I go, what happened? What they messed up? He goes, cruising all the way. And like, wow, not halfway, you know, like really do it right the first. You're not making more money doing it two times over, right? So I think it's people's attention to detail and the quality of care that a lot of techs, not all, but there's a small majority where they don't care. When you and Rich seem to be the guys that you guys really care about your job and do your job well, want to help people and help them learn to like kind of handle some of these things themselves. They can, but it's just like anything else. Any profession, those small bad apples can make bad.
It's just the first 2 dealerships I took for the Texan ride my truck. They're like, oh, that's normal. That's 10-speed noise. I'm like, oh, okay. Next dealer, that's normal. Hey, Rod, who do you got for me?
I know this one cat, and he's
this one guy.
Slick cat.
Yeah. Because what he just said there.
In the corner at Dundee Ford, it's Ford, bust me. Is that his superhero pose? Yeah.
He's still at work. I mean, him just saying right there, he's getting more knowledge. He's learning more stuff. I'm like, nobody says that anymore. So it's like, he's had my truck, I think, almost 30 days. I'm like, anybody else, they'd be like, I'm sending a flatbed. Give me that damn thing back. But I trust them.
Yeah. I mean, Ford's heavily involved now. Now they're I think they're worried because, like I was telling you, and I was talking to A-Rod, it's kind of funny that when you came in and then we experienced what we experienced with your truck, and then I'm looking at TSBs and I'm like, wait a second, why would they admit to something being wrong with the pinion flange and the counterweight or some noise coming from the rear end on a 6.2 and the 7.3s, but not put the 6.7 in there as well? And then I sent A-Rod the screenshot of what I was looking at. I mean, I'm sure it's still there somewhere. Buried because there's so much that's come out since then. And I'm like, this is odd because it sounds like exactly the same thing that you're dealing with, just in a newer model. I mean, a 21 model is not that much different than a 22 when it comes to like the assembly. And I'm thinking they just literally put this out on the 6.2 and the 7.3 saying some sound and noise replace the counterweight on the rear end. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they have your truck in there as well?
Yeah. I was just on the forums a little bit earlier. I just kind of read a little bit on there, and some guys down in Texas, he's like, my truck's doing the same thing. Can you message me some info? Now one of my best friends, his truck's doing the same thing. This is
I think
crazy.
we're on to something. If he says, what up, iPhone man? I think this isn't an isolated instant with just
something's going on.
This M275 and M300. There's got to be something either with assembly. Okay, I'm looking at this. So I don't think Dana is building a whole batch of bad axles. Okay, so I feel after seeing the evidence of Anthony's truck and what Rich brought to light and the way that pinion, yes or no question, Anthony, do you feel that this got worse, or do you think this was the same sensation and experience you had since day one?
I think it's been the same.
Okay.
Believe it or not,
So was this something that was installed incorrectly? Was something damaged in transit? Now, why is it on 2 different axles? Why is it on a single rear wheel? Why is it on a dually? Why is it on an 8-foot bed? Why is it on a short bed? What's the common denominator? And the fact that Rich said that there's a TSB when we were talking about it just being for the trucks or having an issue with the pinion counterweight. Well, what happened? How many times did that have to happen for them to implement this type of data saying, hey, check this out, the counterweight might be loose or not proportional to the axle or whatever their wording is.
Yep.
I got something to tell you here. Let me read it verbatim. So one of my buddies works for Ford, and he is, the guy you guys call when you need a lot of help. And he said, quote, 650s and 750s have been leaving the factory with no fluid in the rear ends, burning them up. But other than that, nothing abnormal. And that's when I asked him about, my situation and Vito's situation, trying to see like if he's seen anything with the dealer he helps. And he hasn't seen anything yet. But I mean, I think a lot of things right now, because of the time we're in, things are getting skipped, things are getting rushed, things are getting slapped together. It happens when things like that happen. Mistakes happen. Weak part fail. It's sad that this is happening. And what happens? Well, these companies, they charge more money. They give you less. I mean, for God's sakes, you don't even get a hood light anymore. I mean,
I have heard so many.
You got that nice
about
streamlight,
that.
Alex.
Yeah, I got
It was the hood light, the under hood insulation.
The insulation,
the when I made the little YouTube short about the people making fun of my fingers, all you guys making fun of my hands, I'm gonna get you. Talking about the air
That's
filter
rigged for her
minder.
pleasure.
They're complaining about that.
older lights.
And the insert. They don't give you the insert on the trailer hitch receiver for 22. And I was even hearing guys.
I got one in my dually, but I didn't get one in my single wheel.
I got one of my
bean.
Yeah.
I got one of my 22, which I was surprised because I heard mixed things from everybody on Facebook saying that they got it and they didn't get it.
You don't need that air filter minder anyways. I mean, it's in the instrument cluster now.
Yeah.
Who was I talking to yesterday? I think it was one of my coworkers, one of the older gentlemen. He's our gopher, totally awesome dude. And I was talking to him. I said, I was making reference to my 1983 F-150. Now they built those mass production, millions. Okay. When you think back to production and how all those were made, and the trim around the window, that metal trim all around the B pillars down to the cowl, all these intricate pieces, intricate back then. And the screws, they didn't have them clips. You look at all these old trucks, they got these long, coarse screws. Everything was screwed together. Now, fast forward 50 years. And not 50 years, but present day, and we're still making the same kinds of vehicle, different materials. We're making probably more of them, but what has changed is the people who are making them. Back then, different times, people loved life. People loved their job. People wanted to come to work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad to say it, but I really think your actions speak louder than words. When you see things such as this, or stuff coming out of the factory that shouldn't have left, like, why did this leave? Did it honestly get missed? Did it get missed because the guy didn't care? Or the guy was mad because his manager didn't, or was making him want to wear a mask, and that guy was just ticked and just let it go out the door? Like, there's so many things, like,
or maybe there was a big change. Maybe they shifted people around and got rid of people and got new people, and it could be a business thing that quality went down as well.
Quality is number one. Like, at least have more than, I don't know how many people, let's just say there's one. Just have more than one person at the end of the line checking these trucks out.
Well, A-Rod, I mean, a prime the doors on the driver's side of my 2022, how they did not chip each other because the gapping was so off is beyond me. Now, I mean, my wife looked at it and I go, look at this. She goes, oh my God, that's not normal. Like she's not oblivious to things either, but she could tell that something was really off, and most people can look at gaps and be like, yeah, that's a factory just from being on an assembly line. This isn't a Ferrari or a Lamborghini but I mean, literally I'd shut the door and it like was so close to hitting, you could barely get a piece of paper in between. And I think it's laziness. It's rushing. That's all that is. I mean,
Absolutely.
Period. That's all it is. So
Here's that. I don't know if Cody's got the computer up and can share or not, but the SSM that we were talking about earlier is SSM 50138. It's for 21 and 22 F250. Four-wheel drive, 6R100s, 373 axle, metallic grinding sound under light acceleration between 23 and 33 miles per hour, built on or before 1 February 21, but it affects 21 to 22 F250s with a 6R100, 373. And it specifically sounds a lot like what Anthony's going through and what he's dealing with. And if you read, which this is my critical critique of how these things are written. Sometimes I think a fifth grader writes these things. The noise is most prevalent in third and fourth gear when the vehicle is warm. This may be due to normal driveline noise transmitting through the drive shaft. To correct the condition, replace the rear axle drive pinion flange using the service part number HC3Z4851A, Apple. Replace the pinion seal as well while you're there. Well, if that is a normal condition, why are you telling people to replace something? You just said it was normal and then admitted that it's not in the same sentence or the same SSM saying replace something that you say is normal. So if that's normal, then you're just going to put the problem right back in the vehicle again, and it's going to continue to be normal. I don't know if that's the instant gratification of telling the customer, look, I changed something to buy some more time until we figure out what it is, or if they legitimately think that there's something wrong with that pinion flange. Maybe this is not written correctly. I don't get that, but this is very confusing. And then when I was looking at Anthony's vehicle, I seen this pop up because just like he said, we're at the 30-day mark here, right at it or past it. I'm not exactly sure the date. This came out September 23rd. Did it say September 23rd or something on here? Did they just wrote
so.
this?
I dropped mine off the 22nd, I want to say.
And then I see this right after it, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. This sounds a lot like what I'm dealing with his truck. Maybe just a couple wording things a little different. This says under acceleration. I don't really hear too much under acceleration with him. It's when I let off and I let it either coast in third gear or in manual mode coast in third gear, or on the brakes sometimes it can become more prevalent, or just letting it downshift on its own. Then sometimes it becomes really, really audible that something's wrong there. And it sounds like they're dealing with some kind of issue here as well. I just don't get how all this is right in the same time span, different truck, different setup, but the same type of symptom. And it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, you'd hate to think that they're trying to buy time for something, but it just doesn't seem logical to do what Rich says. Like you're band-aiding it to do what?
I mean,
Put the same part back on.
If you're telling us the problem is normal and that we're supposed to say that it's normal because you are the ones that make the vehicle or put the vehicle together for us, and then we're supposed to keep it maintained for you, but then you're telling us to correct the condition. Well, what condition? You just said it was normal. There is no condition, but now you're telling me to put a new part on it when you're telling me it's normal to begin with. I don't get that.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, Rich, in the beginning when we started talking, I thought it was the trans. I'm like, the only thing that has changed between an M300 and a 6.7 from, in 2020 was a 10-speed.
Right.
But I don't know. I spent 13 hours on that thing in my driveway by myself, taking everything apart, trying to figure it out. And I'm like, this is a brand new truck. I got to bring it back. I can't. Can't deal with it. And then some of the guys online that were saying, I got the same thing. I got the same thing. I'm like, please bring your truck in and let them sit. The more guys that become vocal about this, maybe we'll get something moving here. Just one guy, I've been driving it for 35,000 miles this way. Drop it off.
I mean, eventually driving it in that condition and that much material coming apart inside that rear end, it could be very, very bad, especially if you were working it and you were out doing something that was very, very important and you had.
Imagine if you had a fifth wheel on that.
Yeah,
that's why I bought that truck. I don't have one yet, but that's why I got the truck.
Even remember when I was talking to you when you were first starting to try to fish around with it, and you said how hot your diff cover was, and you said, you know, I've touched covers.
Yeah, I've been a wrench, the gearhead my whole life.
There's no way that thing should have been that hot.
No, I put my hand on the back. I was like, oh.
It gets hot very, very quick. Just 10, 15 minutes of driving at slow speed driving, you can already feel it starting to get abnormally warm. It shouldn't be that warm that quick, and it is, you know, unfortunately. And then the more I drove it in circles and around the parking lot, and then trying to do it in manual mode, and then on the lift, the more and more it actually started to get louder and louder and louder and louder, and progressively getting worse. And then the fluid started to change color, and now I've got this. This is the same color that it's been.
Oh my God.
Since I pulled it out, and there's just metal floating all around inside this.
Can you get a magnet? Do you have a little pencil magnet or something that you can maybe put next to the side of the container, or a trans magnet, and get it close to the camera, see if maybe we can see anything happen?
I may have it at my shop instead of here.
I got.
Oh, wait. I might have something here. I might have a pocket screwdriver.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys watching, if you guys have checked out Ford Boss Me's channel, go to YouTube and look at his video that he has on Anthony's truck, and you can actually
hear in the bottom.
Oh, it sounds gritty.
Yeah, it's really gritty, and already this is full. That whole end is completely blackish, burnt metal.
Oh, I can smell it, dude. Get that
on the end of it
out of here, man.
And it's grinding into the glass, and when I'm swishing it around inside there, and then you look and see all the nasty, you probably ain't gonna be able to pick it up very good. And this is 1,300 miles on this oil, and it's nothing but grime and grit and metal debris that has turned into powdery mush and slime.
I personally think it's got to be the pinion bearing, because if you guys saw the deflection of that counterweight, I mean, think of how many RPM that thing is spinning at, and how much rotational mass that has.
We're gonna pull it up right now.
So I'm curious to see what Rich is going to find on my truck on Monday. I mean, if we're going to be going down the same rabbit hole with,
if it's the same thing, that's going to be crazy. Which I almost kind of hope it is, because that's going to be. There's going to be
a little bit.
There's going to be a big fix coming.
Well,
if you two are experiencing that, there's more. This guy in Texas, like this live stream needs to be shared on a forum, and we need to get this out to other people to see. In fact, if they're experiencing just the same stuff.
Well, I mean, this noise started from day one, but not as prominent as Vito's, and now my truck has 1,100 miles on it, and it's gotten louder. I mean, now it's to where, you know, you can hear it with the windows up. You know, I mean, it's. So we'll see.
So this is where I just first pull the plug out of his truck. This stupid stuff. Let's see here. So I'm just about.
Here it comes. He's like, hold my glass, hold my stones, Keith.
Catch this sample.
Where the fuck is the volume?
It's always hard getting it in a cup, huh?
Yeah, that's a good point too. People need to think about that.
Because if you drain it, you can't put fluid in your screws. Then you got to pull the whole cover off and try to figure out how to
That's
get
a good point.
So our plug is actually coming out. We're good there. We'll go ahead and set our 3/8 drive ratchet off to the side. Mind you, that's a manual one.
Everybody always asks me all the time what ratchet that is.
And then we have a. Oh yeah!
Oof.
Wow.
It's nothing but
Look at
metal.
all that metal.
Just mounted all around that.
Yeah, that ain't good. Not on a brand new truck. That's not good. That's too much metal on a vehicle that's only got
You might
13
see a little from break-in, just a tad bit, but this is
A
just
little.
covered. This is just covered in metal.
Actually, Rich,
what-
I've wiped that off too before you pulled that because I check every fluid because I don't trust. I don't know what they do on a PDI.
And then take a peek inside
So-
here.
Look at this fluid that's going to come
I can
out.
see a little on a brand new unit that's breaking in, but not that. That's too much. All right, so here we go. Stuff gets nasty. Oh yeah. There's metal all over inside that.
It's all
Let me
sparkly
put
and
this back in
stuff.
and catch some of it.
And I'm going
It's
to get
full-
this.
it's full of metal.
And this is what I ended up pulling out of it. That's the sample that I pulled out.
Wow,
And
that's
then-
crazy.
While you guys are talking, I'll pull up what the counterweight looked like so people can see. So I'm not,
Yeah.
holding anybody up.
Yeah.
I wonder
It's
what
just-
Alex's
it's upsetting,
preload-
man.
or not preload, what his counterweight looks like. Or if
Yeah,
it's any close to.
I don't know. I mean, it was funny too because the other day I got I finally got my plow mount on and stuff, and I'm driving it and I'm like, nah. I mean, nothing with the plow mount's loose. I mean, it never makes noise. And I started paying attention more, and then it was once I got the plow on it, and then there was some load on the front, which really shouldn't have made too much of a difference. I was in the car and the radio down and I heard it and I'm like, oh boy, and I'm like, that's louder than before. And I thought I heard it before, but it wasn't as consistent as Vito's was right from new. And now mine's starting to become, anytime I slow down, turn it into a parking lot or wherever, you can definitely hear it and it'll vibrate a little bit. So
Here's.
I just wish I heard it on the day I drove it before I bought it. I would have been like, take this thing back. Give me my 19.
This thing popped out of nowhere because it only had like 1,000 views and then 2,000 views. And I went back this morning and I looked at it. It's been viewed 103,000 times. And a lot of the truck forums and stuff have this
Wow.
posted all over the place. Let's see.
They're all going to
Here
be
it
like,
is.
what dealer do you work at? Can I book an appointment with you? I got the same problem.
Yeah, and then Ford's going to be like, get that guy out of there.
Yeah.
And it just walks back and forth. I think I end up telling him to slow down. Let me see. I don't know if. And when it slows down, you can start. Where the hell is it at? There it is. Oh. Wait for it to slow down. Wait for it to almost come to a stop, and then you'll see it starts walking like crazy. You can really see the walk back and forth. Fuck. Anyway, it's walking like this. It's hard for me to take another video and then apply it to something that's already video, and then you guys be able to see. You got to go to this video and see what's going on. But it's walking back and forth like this. And can you imagine at like highway speeds and stuff like that on what that's doing as it's walking back and forth and it's just jerking back and forth on that pinion bearing, constantly throwing it all out of whack? It's going to chew it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's what, but I was all over the place with that just to give people some context that haven't seen it. First, Anthony came by, I rode in the bed of the truck. I heard it more in the passenger rear corner. We both laid on our backs and we're kind of going underneath the truck and trying all kinds of different stuff out and trying to strap this down and put pressure on that, trying to get things to quiet down. We couldn't get it to quiet down. It was still doing it. He left, he came back, dropped the truck off with me. It's been here ever since. And I kept going out in it, kept going out in it, kept going out in the truck. And the more I would drive it and the more I would become more familiar with the truck than the owner himself, because I've driven it more than him, the more the sound got louder and louder and louder. And then when we put it on the rack and I could see the counterweight on the pinion walking back and forth, I immediately submitted to Hotline what was going on. They gave me the approval to replace the pinion and the counterweight assembly, including the drive shaft, because I had noted that through whatever vibration and misbalance was going on with that pinion, it was transmitting through the drive shaft as well somehow, because the U-joints didn't just have just a little bit of fluid coming out like normal separation from brand new. It was to the point where it was coming down the collar, down the assembly where everything's pressed in, and out onto the drive shaft ears. So it was just more than a little bit of seepage like you would expect from a brand new unit, where a little bit of fluid separation, where you'll get the real thick material staying inside, but some of the clear separation may come out, which it's normal. This was all over the joint coming down, and then the front was starting as well. So they gave me the approval to just go ahead and replace all that. Well, I did. And it didn't fix the problem. And then continuing to drive it, I got a set of Steelman chassis ears, hooked it up to the front of the transmission. I hooked it up to the middle of the transmission. I hooked it up to the exhaust behind the transmission. I hooked it up to the rear end. And the loudest I heard it was at the rear end. And a lot of you here probably have seen that video.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved it over to the leaf spring pack, and I started really hearing it in the leaf spring pack. And I called A-Rod, and I'm talking to him, and I'm doubting myself, but yet at the same time, I'm almost convinced that it's the leaf spring pack. But then I'm back to I'm playing this game in my head, doubting myself. And I'm glad that I doubted myself enough to step further and say, you know what, Trans-Tech, let's go. Engine builder, let's go. Both of you guys come ride with me. I want your opinions as well.
Do
and
you
then
want to ride with me?
they kept, they after our test drive, the trans guy and one of our main engine builders here was like, you know what, dude, I think it is in the rear, and I think it sounds more rotational pinion bearing noise than anything after I've heard it. And we drove it and drove it and drove it. And then finally they were like, you know what? Pretty convinced that counterweight and how it was installed on that pinion flange probably fucked up all that stuff. And that's probably what's going on. That probably metal throughout that entire rear end now. Probably carrier bearings are shot and the pinion bearing shot. You're going to have to go through all that, wash all that out. And then, you know, with Anthony being involved, it's a brand new truck. He'd expressed that he'd like a new unit. Don't go in there and rip a bunch of stuff apart, because that's not what he paid for. He paid for a new truck. He wants a new truck. So that's how we submitted it. We want a new unit. And at first they gave us a little bit of problems. And I think Anthony made some calls after that. And then finally they called back up and they're like, hey, wait a second. Wait a second. We're going to try to figure this out. And we're going to try to get this guy a new unit. Yeah. So that's what they're looking at now, is they got Copus involved, and they got all kinds of part stuff involved, and FSE and both managers at the dealership are now involved trying to track this down, and they're trying to figure out where they're going to get an entire unit. So they're trying.
I hope they can find one.
Good
I
luck.
mean, it's the 14 days worth of phone calls
Yeah.
every day.
Well, I hope
Yeah.
you at least get something out of it besides just your truck fixed. You know, whether it's, you know, a complimentary
just made the first
premium
payment.
care or maintenance care.
I'm hoping to get reimbursement for that.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Payment
It has to hit 30
reimbursement.
days. Yeah. 30 days, she said. Call back after 30 days.
I'll give you a
That's
third
it.
truck as it sits.
Well, I'll probably end it here, everybody. I did get in the mail some products from a company here in Michigan called AccurateDiesel.com. I'm going to be making a video with one of their products, so stay tuned. You guys can find them out at AccurateDiesel.com. 231-660-1689 is their phone number. They have a vast majority of stuff for the Ford Powerstroke, the Duramax, and the Cummins. But you guys can check them out, and I've been getting a lot of questions and recommendations or wanting my recommendations. And I'm only saying this because this was a literature that reminded me of what every 6.7 owner needs on their truck, and it is the S&S disaster prevention kit. It is something that I believe in. It's something that looks very OE. If you guys are in the business of working your truck and going through thousands of gallons of fuel, why not have some extra insurance for your fuel system? Check the video out. It looks slick. And I like it. You guys can get it from him over at Accurate. Look for Tim. He'll hook you guys up. Thank you, Anthony, Alex, FBM, CP. I thank you
Thanks
guys
for having me on,
and
man.
everybody in the comment section. I like interacting with you guys. And once I find out some of my needed information about the meetup, I will get it to you guys as soon as I know. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys Friday.